I wasn't initially planning on watching The Mitchells vs. the Machines, but after seeing that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were attached as producers, I decided to check it out. For those of you who don't know, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller directed the Lego Movie and were also producers for Into the Spider-Verse. Needless to say, a lot of the animated movies they are involved with seem to be pretty good. Seeing that they were producers on The Mitchells vs. the Machines, I decided to give it a watch, and it was alright. Now, right out of the gate, I will say that I think The Mitchells vs. the Machines is overrated. Good, but overrated. From the reviews I read on Letterboxd and just the general opinion of it around the internet, I expected something a bit better than what I got, but nonetheless, I enjoyed the movie. I'll split up my review into 3 main parts so that I can fully explain what I liked and disliked about the movie concisely. I will also have a part dedicated to small things I enjoyed about the movie, but that don't really affect my overall rating. Before I start, I feel obligated to say that the order of the parts is somewhat arbitrary, so don't read into it too much, and that I'll be keeping spoilers to a minimum, but I don't really think it's possible to quote-unquote spoil this movie, something I'll get into later. The animation and overall visual style of The Mitchells vs. the Machines is easily my favorite aspect to the movie. The animation reminded me of Into the Spider-Verse's animation, and I assume this is because Into the Spider-Verse was also made by Sony Pictures and had Lord and Miller attached as producers. That being said though, The Mitchells vs. the Machines isn't copying Spider-Verse or anything, rather it seems to be taking inspiration from it. The animation in The Mitchells vs. the Machines includes a lot of really interesting angles and 2D effects littered throughout the movie, which give it a unique personality and charm. The animation is also just really colorful and clean, with the design of some of the set pieces in the world actually being somewhat interesting in my opinion. For example, the PAL Robot headquarters has a pretty simplistic design with lots of simple shapes, but it's still fun and interesting because of its neon-esque lighting and futuristic design. Even if you hate The Mitchells vs. the Machines, it's pretty obvious that a lot of passion went into the animation and the visual design of the movie. The acting in The Mitchells vs. Machines is fine. I wouldn't say any of the performances were bad, but none of them were really better than average either. My favorite performances in the movie were probably from Beck Bennett, who voices Eric, one of the robots that helps the Mitchells, and Eric Andre, who voices Dr. Mark Bauman, the tech genius who creates the PAL robots, which are the antagonists of the movie. Unfortunately, these characters are secondary, so don't have as many lines as the main cast of the movie, and as I stated earlier, in my opinion, the main cast gave pretty average performances. The story of Mitchells vs. Machines is okay. The story is very formulaic and predictable, with you basically being able to guess what's going to happen in the story pretty easily. I won't spoil the story, but at the same time, it's not really possible to spoil the story given how predictable and formulaic the movie is. You'll see what I mean if you watch it. Most of the writing is pretty basic, and even though I did like some of the jokes, these jokes don't really save the script from being mediocre overall. Along with this, a big theme in the movie script is about technology, and how it can sometimes be good and sometimes be bad. And while the movie occasionally portrays this theme in a decent way, in other scenes it just feels shoehorned and out of place. The characters are also pretty basic in this movie. They have just enough development and traits for me not to call them one-dimensional, but still, just barely. The story revolves around Katie Mitchell, a quirky, soon-to-be film student, and her wacky family. And while sure, it all works, it's also something which I've already seen, and better for that matter. While thinking about the movie, I couldn't help thinking about much better quirky animated families from movies I like more, such as The Incredibles or the Fox family from Fantastic Mr. Fox. And while sure, these movies are inherently different from The Mitchells vs. the Machines, it just goes to show that the Mitchell family isn't too well written or memorable if I rather think about these better animated families than what I actually liked about the Mitchells. All of this is not to say that the story of The Mitchells vs. the Machines is terrible. It's not. It's just utterly predictable at its best and tonally inconsistent at its worst. So, some other stuff I enjoyed in this movie, which don't exactly fit into the main sections, are as follows. Number 1, I like the shot where Katie texts her friend, but she misspells the word can't and it autocorrects. It's a blink and you miss it moment, but it's pretty realistic and fits the tone of the scene, which is that Katie is excited, and so in her haste is more prone to making texting mistakes. The fact that people put in an effort to animate the extra frames for this is admirable, and it makes the world more believable and realistic, even if barely. 2, I like the score in general. It's nothing great, but it's good, and I thought it complemented the film well. And 3, I liked how they showed all the families of the people who worked on the movie in the credits at the end. I thought it was pretty interesting that they did this, and I wish more movies would do something like this in the future. Overall, The Mitchells vs. the Machines is, in my opinion, an average animated movie which is elevated by its inspiring visuals. Because of this, I'd probably give the movie a 7 out of 10. Really, I'm teetering on giving it a 6, but in my opinion, it's more of a 7 than it is a 6, so I'm just gonna give it a 7. I don't really like giving out half numbers out of 10, such as 6.5 out of 10, so it's just a 7. Anyway, this is just my opinion. I didn't think that the movie was bad by any measure. I thought it was quite good, just not as great as people claim it to be. Hey guys, it's me, Matt, back to do another improvised channel update at the end of the video thing. So, channel update. The channel's back. I actually decided to go through my word and make another video after that last video got like, I don't know how many views it has, like 35 views and like 4 likes or something. I don't know. But yeah, I decided to actually do it and I made this video. I have another video idea in the works. Probably gonna be out by 4th of July. It's a 4th of July themed video, so it should be out by 4th of July. But I know myself, and if I know anything about my video making process, it's that I always overestimate how long something's gonna take, and then I end up crunching. So it could be out by 4th of July. That's my goal, but the 4th of July is in like less than 2 weeks. So I'm gonna be realistic here. Might not come out by then, but it's still gonna come out regardless if it's on 4th of July or not. Other projects, I'm working on a secret long project I'm developing a secret long project at least that I'm hoping to get out by the end of August because I go back to college at the end of August. But, I mean, let's be real here. I don't think I'm going to get that done either by the end of August. Just being realistic. I want to, but I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. Like, I want to teach myself how to learn some Blender more than I already have to do some 3D like modeling for the video and stuff, and also get more proficient in GIMP so I could use some like GIMP in the video, and also improve my audio and scripting process before I make that video. So that's a few things that I want to do before I even start on that secret project, just for like development purposes, because like I try and make my videos high quality. If you didn't notice, I spent like a lot of time editing my last Donald Glover video. And even that, I'm pretty disappointed with how the editing turned out, which I know. I mean, it's not terrible, but I don't like it. So I'm trying to improve my editing process. My writing process, I mean, it's pretty good. For this script, I just ordered it by section. I mean, it's pretty basic. I'll probably just do that even if there isn't, like, you know, parts in, like, a physical sense, like there's no title. I do that anyway. I know I said I had scripts written already, but I went back and read them, and they were all terrible. So I'm just going to scrap those and pretend they don't exist. I didn't realize how bad they were. I mean, yeah, sure, they're not terrible, but they're definitely not something I'm going to record now. No. Anyway, I do this thing on Facecam because I don't like being on Facecam, and it forced me to do this fast. So, bye. Like and subscribe, by the way. Do that. That's the only way you can support me. Okay, do it. Ring the bell or whatever. That's what YouTubers say. Yeah.